Hello everybody, I'm Alfred and you're listening to Alfred's Daily Q&A live stream podcasts. You can post your questions in the comments in this live or in previous lives. I'll be answering them. I usually kick off with a theme, and the theme and topic I'm going to be dealing with today is the question: was it Jubril or Buhari that just got buried? Now, we'll have to go way back to when all these allegations started. And one notable person who basically launched this was Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu said way back, before he was put on this whole sham situation by the Buhari presidency, before he was locked up by this administration, he talked about this Buhari situation and said that Buhari had died and that it was a double Jubril that was taking the place of Buhari because they did not want to have to go into a fresh election and lose control of the presidency. But that being said, let's just go through some of the allegations and a lot of the points. The reason why this should be taken seriously is because every sort of deception by a political leader is important. It doesn't matter of what nature. It's like when you look at France and the Macron situation about his wife being a man. That is very important, and that will help you understand why most of all these people are so gung-ho about the LGBT and why they so support it. Because that is them. So you have to know who you are electing into office and what group they stand in, what they're a part of. So someone like Macron being married to a man who is pretending to be a woman, why wouldn't they be all gung-ho LGBT everything? Because that is them. When Candace Owens, I have my gripes with Candace Owens over her whole Jew this, Israel this, her whole war on Israel. There are a number of things that have been done by Mr. Netanyahu that are not wise or ethical. But that is what he did. That is what his presidency or his leadership did. That is what his administration did. You can't put it all on the Jews and all on Israel and blame it on them and come up with all kinds of conspiracy theories that the Israel in the Bible is not the Israel that is on ground today. And that the prophecies of the Bible have nothing to do with what is happening today. And there is another thing about Catholics. Of course, Candace Owens went over to the Catholic side. Understand something about Catholics. They hate Jews. When you look historically, and of course that is the Roman Empire, the Romans were completely against the Jews. And that is something that you should think about. Why were the Romans against the Jews when the Catholic Church was founded? If you read the Bible, how can you hate the Jews? Everything is based on them. They are a marker from the Old Testament to the New Testament, and that is where the bloodline of Jews comes from. So you won't even name, if the Catholic Church is a true Christian church, it wouldn't be called the Roman Catholic Church. The seat of Christ is in Rome and all of that would not be there. It would be the seat of Christ is in Jerusalem. That's where it's going to be, not Rome. But that's another matter. But it just goes to show you, where she has aligned herself with. And this is also somebody that is doing everything to remain friends with Kanye West. And you know how Kanye West feels about Jews. So Candace Owens is on that type of time. But that being said, her revealing what she revealed about Macron's wife being a man. Somebody else made that allegation in France and was sued, but they won. What does that mean? It means that Macron's wife is really a man parading as a woman. Now, you may say, how does that affect the politics of France? You can see the kind of deception that is going on. Somebody that is so dishonest, why would you think that that person is not going to be dishonest in every other thing that they touch? In the same way, this Buhari Jubril situation, because even if Buhari had lived, or you want to go under the illusion that Buhari lived, Buhari will still be controlled. Look at the truth about Nigeria's presidency. Nothing changes. What is the difference between the Buhari administration and the Tinubu administration? Let's be real. It's the same thing. You know, the only thing that is changing is the politicians that are getting richer. But it's the same thing that is happening. So people need to be careful. It's just like in America, before Trump, the presidents were doing the same thing. It was like, oh, you're either on the left or you're on the right. You're either a conservative or you are a liberal. You are either on the right or on the left. But the politicians, even though they say different things, they do the same things. They start the same wars, start the same problems. Everything is the same. You know, so we need to be honest to ourselves about these kinds of things that goes on. You know, we cannot lie to ourselves about what is happening. You know, there is so much dishonesty that is going on. That being said, you know, I would just like to run down some of the complaints and allegations. You know, I'm just basically reading a thread on the issue that someone posted online. You know, so that's what I'll be doing now. Says Nnamdi Kanu is trending because according to him, this is Buhari's final death. Nnamdi Kanu declared Buhari dead in 2017 with evidences, but said the death will be announced 2 years after office, 2025. And where are we now? 2025. And this is when they're announcing Buhari's death, which is a great cover-up for a double. But there's another side to it, because of course they will make the deal with the double when the double is alive that 2 years will announce that Buhari is dead, then you can return to your life. But if you make that kind of deal with someone, it's best you kill that person. You actually kill that person after 2 years. Because imagine if someone goes to Niger or whatever other African country and sees somebody that looks exactly like the Buhari that was paraded as Buhari, that becomes a problem. And it will bring rise to all the questions and all of that. And that person is a loose end. So it's best to scam the person that after 2 years you go back to your life, don't worry, nobody will know you, nobody will see you and all of that. But after that 2 years, you actually kill that person and bury that person as Buhari. So that is a whole different topic altogether. But that will be the intelligence thing to that, the way the intelligence agencies of this world work. That is the kind of thing that they will do. That being said, let's get to, let's keep reading this. Nnamdi Kanu declared Buhari dead in 2017 with evidences, but said that the death will be announced 2 years after office, 2025. Now, Jubril, Jubril, and Yusuf, the Dura Biafra drama thread. This piece will be a summary of Nnamdi Kanu's submissions. Nnamdi Kanu had been pushing for the succession of Igbo land since 2029, but got popular in 2014 because before his first arrest in 2015, which gave him maximum exposure and firmly positioned him as the undisputed leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, a peaceful movement seeking succession due to Igbo marginalization, which Buhari's government later declared and branded a terrorist group unto date. Keep in mind that there's a huge difference between Nnamdi Kanu's organization and the one by that Simeon Epara or whatever that is in Finland. That guy in Finland, his own organization is different. And there's a lot of questions to ask about his organization, because his organization were killing Igbos. How can you be saying that you're about liberating Igbos and all you are doing is killing Igbos? You know, that's Simon Ekpala or whatever. You know, and everything he was doing was helping to put a nail in the coffin of Nnamdi Kanu's imprisonment, because he was the one that is going to be blamed for all the activities of Simon Ekpa and his own organization, which is completely different from Nnamdi Kanu's organization. You know, so let's keep reading the thread. In 2017, Buhari spent 165 days outside the country, with 13 for work and 152 days for medical leave. Wow, that's a lot of time. From 2016 to 2019, Buhari went on eight medical trips, totaling 199 days. And this is what I'm talking about. If the president is out of the country for so long, who is really running the country? That's why I said, you know, whether Buhari lived on or not, who was running the country? You see, somebody else will have been in charge. Get what I'm saying? So, and that is who is really running things. Like I gave the example of America, the left and the right, they are still doing the same thing. So who is behind the scenes running things? And that's where true power is. We need to start looking beyond the president. And I'm talking to Christians. We need to look beyond all of that. The Antichrist is somebody who is going to be in that kind of position where he goes to the highest position of real power and is now controlling presidents, because presidents are controlled, senates are controlled. The World Economic Forum, the World Bank, the Rockefeller Foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, being at the top of such organizations is more powerful than being the president of many countries, and even powerful countries, because they call the shots. The World Economic Forum calls the shots on Canada. Canada does what the World Economic Forum tells them to do. Africa as a whole does what the World Bank tells them to do. What the UN tells them to do, Africa does. And when Africans start their own organizations like the AU, the African Union, they are controlled by the EU, the European Union. So you have to understand these realities. And when you look at the founders and the people behind them, they are often the same people, and people who were schooled by people under the other organization that they are trying to tell you they are being liberated from. That's the reality. Even when you look at all this pro-black nonsense in Africa now, all this black pan-Africanism, look at the leaders of the organizations. They are all from America. And when you look at the way they talk, a lot of these people talk, they're all schooled abroad. Their indoctrination is from there. Because the reality of the matter is that nobody in his right mind is going to be on a wage war against white people journey. We need cooperation, and we need to separate those who want to help Africa from those who don't want to. You know, all the people that are saying Pan-Africanism and all of that, they are only trying to make you hate the individual white man, but still cooperate with the white government structure of Europe and America. They are not against that. They are all for that. Look at all of them. They are still bowing down to the World Health Organization, the World Bank, and all of that. You know, but they want you to hate white people. So it's the ordinary man, the average white person, that they want you to hate, and they are telling you is the enemy, while cooperating with the colonialists that did the colonization themselves, that and that structure. You know, but let's keep reading. In 2017, Muhammad Buhari spent 165 days outside the country, with 13 for work and 152 days for medical leave. From 2016 to 2019, Buhari went on 8 medical trips, totaling 199 days. According to Nnamdi Kanu, he died on January 27, 2017 in the UK due to surgery complications, acute organ failure, hemophilia, and pneumonia, and was discreetly buried in Saudi Arabia. then replaced by a man from Sudan who had similar physique, Jubril. Now this is a different spelling, Jubril. Jubril Amanu al-Sudani. On subsequent reports by Nnamdi Kanu, he clarified the name was Jubril, not Jubril. Okay, so this is now a switch of name, he's now saying that it wasn't Jubril, it was Jubril. So now Nnamdi Kanu said after Buhari's death, the chief of staff Abakari blocked everyone from seeing him, including his wife, including Buhari's wife, children, security, and even relatives. Only himself and select doctors had access to Buhari. And keep in mind, understand that Muslims don't divorce and they don't separate from their wives because there's no point. Because they are allowed to marry multiple wives, and they are always bound to take care of their wives. So there's no point for a Muslim to divorce his wife. All he has to do, it was said from the Buhari's presidency, keep her in the other room. So they have many houses. So all he has to do is just ignore her and get a new wife. That is allowed under, Islam. So there is no need for any Muslim to divorce, But apparently, by the time that, by this particular burial that has just happened, Buhari's original wife, Aisha, or whatever her name is, wasn't married to him. What happened? So this is the first time we are seeing, and this is based on the information out there, the first time we are seeing a Muslim getting a divorce. Apparently one that is not necessary. The man has many wives. So if he has any problem with her, all he has to do is just, please go away. Stay in the other house or stay in the other room like he said, and then he focuses with his other wives. And that is allowed. And the women in Islam are trained to be okay with that. So there is no rebellion. There is no problem with that. So why would a Muslim divorce his wife? And we are seeing this kind of thing with the talk that Al-Bakari blocked everyone from seeing him, including his wife, children, security, and even relatives. Only himself and select doctors had access to Buhari. Seeing that his death was premature, the North wasn't ready to drop power for Osinbajo. So the cabal and British governments worked together to find a body double. They scouted Africa, Europe, and even America until they found Jubril in Sudan, whom they reached an agreement with and paraded him as Buhari for months until he ran away when they were on a trip in Cuba. Meanwhile, the agents who found the stunt double, led by Habibu Almu, were killed after the Jubril's disappearance to ensure maximum secrecy. Now, this is something else. Keep in mind, all these things are things that should be looked into and questions answered. But these are apparently what's the allegations are and what Nnamdi Kanu is saying. So they had to get another body double from Niger Republic. This person, Yusuf Abubakar Mohammed, this one is even an interesting stunt because according to Nnamdi Kanu, his people asked for resources, oil wells, mineral deposits, and even a substantial percentage oil revenue as compensation to use Yusuf as Buhari, otherwise they will leak the secrets. That's why under Buhari's second term, Niger was held in high regards. And this is true, because there's a considerable change with how Nigeria and the Buhari administration treated Niger in the first administration and the second administration. So this says a lot. This says a lot. That is why Buhari's second term, Niger Republic was held in high regards. In a video, Bishop Oyedepo read it out in church. Apparently, it was published. Now, Nnamdi Kanu's allegations seemed like a hoax because all his evidences were questionable except one. However, during the time frame when Buhari allegedly died, January 27th, 2017, a former journalist and British politician, Eric Joyce, made cryptic posts suggesting the president of Africa's most populous country is dead, and somehow it didn't make front page. He made much reiterating this position when he was challenged. He asked Nigerians to tell the government to prove Buhari was alive. The Nigerian government paid no attention. Till now, his posts are still up. Within the same period, Nnamdi Kanu claimed Queen Elizabeth penned a condolence message. This is getting very long, but let me just address certain important things that were said. Nnamdi Kanu further presented palm prints, dominant hands, signature. Dominant hand, palm prints, dominant hand, signature, ear shape, nose shape, frown lines, hair quality, eyebrow and height differences as evidence. Now, these are very interesting accusations, and now that the Jubril, or as we know, this other guy now from Niger or whatever has been buried. So this now, there's no other opportunity to investigate it, and there was never an opportunity apparently because of how the Nigerian government structure works. It's about who has the power that can do anything and get away with anything. So the point is that these are very important things. If people are raising questions like this, it should be addressed. When you are talking about the signature is different, the palm print is different, the dominant hand is different, from right-handed to left-handed. Frown lines, hair quality, eyebrow is different. Did he do Michael Jackson plastic surgery? The height is different. When it comes to height, how do you fake that? So how does somebody change height in between their first and second term in presidency? So all these kinds of things, people growing shorter and stuff like that. So all these things are questions that should be answered, but apparently the opportunity for those questions to be answered has gone. So the point is that now we will never know for sure. It will never be verified. So who was the person that was buried? Was it Buhari? Was it Jubril? Or was it this other guy from Niger? But we see there are a lot of questions about the situation with the wife, the children, and all of that, because that actually happened. They were not allowed to see him. So many issues. Those are all important questions. They cannot be swept under the rug. And keep in mind, this is the same Nigeria that swept the whole pandemic situation under the rug. And again, it was a pastor that was actually the only person that talked about it and exposed it. When Nigeria was just happily getting free vaccines and was injecting people during the lockdowns, it was only Pastor Chris Oyakhilome that, outwardly, boldly came out and spoke against it. So we have a situation where the Nigerian government just goes with everything and anything that's the US, the UK, the UN World Health Organization and all these guys, push. That was primarily the World Health Organization pushing that during the lockdowns, So those guys are the ones that really control Africa and control Nigeria. Nigeria just goes lockstep, Now that Nigeria is under Ibrahim Traore and he's doing well, there have been so many multiple attempts to kill him. By who? Foreign governments. Foreign governments that are working hand in hand happily with African governments. The intelligence community of foreign governments, the World Bank, the UN, these are criminal organizations. These are evil organizations. These are organizations that do not have Africa's best interests at heart. But yes, some African leaders feel that it is their prerogative to partner with these nations and with these organizations. These organizations have anytime you see a nation, an African nation, partnering with the World Bank and the UN and all of that, ask yourself, in whose interest is it? Is it for the interest of Africa or the nation that the World Bank is in and acting for, or the nations that and the people that the UN, the World Health Organization, all these things are acting for? These people don't want to see Africa thrive. But a lot of people are not wise, and they just let it. They just think it's cool. So these are. This is crazy. You cannot push it off as it is crazy. Just the same way they push all the things about the lockdown. The fact that we are not under lockdown today, right now, proves that everything that the government was pushing during that time was a lie, because they told you that that was the new normal, that things will never go back, that is the way it is, that it is medical, it is science, believe the science, believe the science. If the science, according to them, what they called science, what they said was the science, if it was right, we will still be under lockdown till today. We will still have to be doing the the social distancing and all of that. So, and we will still all have to be taking the vaccines and all of that, but all of that has stopped. So you have to be real. It's a shame that the whole of Nigerian political leaders, apart from people like the Nnamdi Carlos, who get carted away in jail and they try to imprison forever, the rest of the Nigerian leaders, all they do is cater to whatever the foreign powers tell them. Like, look at, for example, EFCC. EFCC is working for the interests of white people. Who are the number one victims of fraud from Nigerians? It is Nigerians. It is not white people. But who is EFCC targeting, and who are they going after? The Yahoo boys that are frauding white people online. So who is EFCC interested in protecting? White people. What about the people in Nigeria that are being scammed every day? Before those who are scamming white people learned how to scam white people, it's not in Nigeria they learned how to be scamming people from other Nigerians. It's not by scamming other Nigerians and pickpocketing and stealing in Nigeria that they learned it. Who is protecting the Nigerians? Why is that not a priority? That's why somebody like a VDM can rise up and Nigerians gravitate to him, because he seems to be responding to or be interested in Nigeria's problem. But that is not the true case. The guy is misled on so many things, and he's acting in his own self-interest, even though he knows how to package it to not look that way. And in some part of his mind, he may think he's doing the right thing and he's not acting in his own self-interest. But everything that he's doing is just social media. Everything that VDM is doing is building himself up for a future political career, as well as a current state of, it's just mixing what Coffeezilla does with Andrew Tate. If you mix the two of them together, you have VDM. Just a social media account or social media brand about talking about and exposing, scams and controversial issues, and then packaging it in an Andrew Tate way. That is basically what VDM is doing, but Nigerians gravitate to him because the police that would have been helping are not doing the job of the police. Nigerians don't feel safe around the police. As a matter of fact, seeing a policeman being involved in anybody's situation is like having the devil or armed robbers being close to them or coming close to them. So it is that kind of situation. The police that should be a relief to Nigerians when Nigerians are in trouble are actually a marking point that your trouble just got even worse. So when you look at these things, look at the EFCC, just punching the whole game, and the leader of the head of the EFCC is proud that the FBI is praising him. What about the Nigerian people? Nigerians have problem. How many Nigerians have said, "Oh, I was scammed," that are poor? Because for you to even have an issue that you bring to EFCC, you have to have money, and you have to bring a lot of money if you're a Nigerian, but not if you are an American or you're a foreigner. So all these situations, so The few people that EFCC have worked on behalf of that are in Nigeria that were scammed by Nigerians were rich people. You know, the average, the market woman, if she has scammed, if she gets scammed, or the young small business man, if he gets scammed, EFCC is not looking into his case. Look at the situation with NAFDAC and the Onisha markets and the Igbo markets that they are shutting down and bringing all kinds of, oh, you don't have this, you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have this. You know, so all those things, you know, it is crazy, and these are things that need to be addressed. And we as Christians, we must pray and act. Faith without works is dead. The praying part is the faith part. You know, and when you pray, you listen. What instruction does God give you to do? And you have to act. And God has to instruct you in the direction of entering politics and what you will do into politics, what you will do into politics, what you becoming the head of NAFDAC and what you do there, becoming the head of EFCC and what you do there. Now, there are a lot of people who say things like, but the head of this organization is a pastor, the head of this organization is a Christian. It's one thing to have a title, it's another thing to be a Christian. The Bible says, by their fruits we shall know them. You can't say that Nigeria have had Christian presidents. What was the fruit? Was that the fruit of a Christian president? Bribery, corruption, and stealing money everywhere. How is that Christianity? Nigeria has never had a Christian president. A lot of these organizations have never had a Christian in power, because if a Christian is in power, by their fruits you shall know them, he will act like a Christian in power. He will not be stealing. He will be doing what is fair. It is written, when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. And that's a law. That's a fact. It's not just because it's in the Bible. Everywhere, in any area of life, you know, that is how things will go. When a good person is in charge, you'll be happy, as opposed to when a thief and a crook is in charge. You know, so we must go into positions of authority, and positions of authority where we are not leading. Those who have the fruits of righteousness, who do the work, you know, not those who are Christian in name alone or pastor in name alone. Because keep in mind, even El Rafai, I believe he was made an honorary pastor of Redeemed. This is a staunch Muslim. So that the reality of the matter is that you cannot buy pastorship, especially deaconship. A lot of deacons are just deacons because they donated. Donate a lot of money to a church and you become a deacon. So these are purchased positions. You know, so it has its clout of clergy and it has a clout of alleged honesty. So it is a valuable purchase for some politicians to buy their deaconship or pastoralship by donating to a church, so that it's be like, oh, he's a pastor, he's going to be honest, you know, when he's in the political sphere or when he's in the business world. But he's actually and has always been a crook. So it's by their fruits you shall know them, not by their titles. You know, Nigeria has never had Christian leaders. If we had Christian leaders, we will see it in the fruits. By their fruits we shall know them. They will act like Christians, and we will see Christian results. Not when somebody says that they are Christian, they only go to church when it's time for the pastor to parade them that they attended the church so that they can get votes. After they have been elected, they will never near that church again. You know, and even the ones, even though there have so far been no pastor there is no person in politics that have been known to attend any specific church regularly. But let us say that we are to find one that would someday do that. It is not by that we will judge. It is by their fruits. By their fruits we shall know them. What are you doing in office? Are you stealing money? Or are you doing the right thing? And are you exposing those that are doing the wrong thing? And are you going to be helping the people, lifting the people out of poverty and penury? You know, are you going to be doing your job well? By their fruits we shall know them. If you are not suitable for the job, you give it up for somebody who is qualified. Even if the person may not have the money, then as a Christian you should say, let me sponsor you, you know, but I want nothing in return. Let me help you. You are the best qualified. Or even if you are in that position, you now get those who are qualified and listen to their counsel and let them basically be the ones running it. They are just the figurehead, and you know, they are running the show. They are making the decisions, and they are actually helping people. But we see the fruits of a working country if they are Christian leaders. But that is what we need: Christian leaders that they are Christian by their fruits, not by their title. You know, so we must get into positions of power, positions where we are not there. We must have our influence there, and we must have our voice be heard, you know, so we can effect change in all those places. Otherwise, things will remain the same way it is, and things will only get worse, you know. So that's remember to check out Alfred.vip for more. Thank you, and God bless you.
Say this prayer audibly if you've not given your heart to Jesus Christ. Dear God, I believe in my heart that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, came, died, and was raised from the dead to save me. I confess Him, Lord, over my life, and ask You to give me Your Holy Spirit to live within me. I receive Your Spirit by faith, and thank You for I am now born again. In Jesus' name, amen. If you just prayed that prayer, congratulations, you're now a Christian. Go to alfred.vip and get resources that will help you with your work with God.